Everyone thinks being smart means knowing more, having more answers, being right all the time, but that's not what makes someone truly intelligent. The real difference is how they think when things go wrong, how they handle pressure, and how they respond when life doesn't go their way. Right now, without realizing it, you might be thinking in the exact same way that keeps most people stuck, stressed, and misunderstood. And the worst part, it feels completely normal. In this video, I'm going to show you 5 simple ways smart people think differently, and once you see this, you won't be able to unsee it. So, before we start, take a second and ask yourself, are you reacting or are you thinking? If you just asked yourself whether you're reacting or thinking, this is where the difference really begins. Most people believe that being smart means winning arguments. When someone disagrees with them, they feel attacked. So they defend, they interrupt, they try to prove the other person wrong as quickly as possible. But truly smart people don't do that. They don't fight to be right. They try to understand. Instead of saying, that's wrong, they ask, why do you think that? Instead of shutting people down, they open them up. And something interesting happens when you do this. People stop defending themselves. They start explaining. They start thinking more deeply about their own ideas. Because here's the truth. You can't force someone to change their mind, but you can guide them to question it. And when people question their own thinking, that's when real change happens. This is why the smartest people in the room often talk less but ask better questions. They're not trying to win the conversation, they're trying to understand the reality behind it. So next time you feel the urge to argue, pause for a second and ask yourself, do I want to be right or do I want to see the truth? Because the moment you stop trying to win, you start thinking like someone far more intelligent. Now, once you stop fighting to be right, something shifts. You create space to actually see what's really going on. And this is where most people still get stuck. They zoom in too much. One mistake, and suddenly they think they're a failure. One rejection, and they believe they're not good enough. One bad day, and it feels like everything is falling apart. But smart people don't think like that. They zoom out. They see patterns, not moments. They see direction, not isolated events. Instead of asking, why did this happen to me, they ask, what is this trying to show me? And that one shift changes everything. Because when you zoom in, problems feel personal. But when you zoom out, problems become information. Maybe you didn't fail because you're not capable. Maybe your strategy didn't work. Maybe you need a different approach. Maybe you need more time. Smart people don't label themselves. They analyze situations. They treat life like a system, not a series of emotional reactions. So instead of panicking, they pause and think, what can I learn from this? What can I adjust? What should I try next? And this is why they improve faster than everyone else. Because while most people are busy overthinking one moment, they're studying the pattern behind it. So next time something goes wrong, don't zoom in, zoom out. Look at your life like a timeline, not a single scene. Because the moment you stop reacting to isolated events, you start seeing the bigger picture. And once you see the bigger picture, you start making smarter moves. And once you start seeing the bigger picture, another shift happens. You realize how much time you've been wasting, thinking about things you can't control. Most people live like this every day. They worry about what others think. They stress about things that might happen. They replay situations they can't change anymore. And all of that energy goes nowhere. It doesn't fix anything. It doesn't improve anything. It just drains you. But smart people follow a very simple rule. If I can't control it, I don't spend energy on it. That's it. They don't try to control the weather. They bring an umbrella. They don't try to control people's opinions. They focus on their own actions. They don't try to control outcomes. They control their effort. And this is where they gain a massive advantage. Because while everyone else is stuck in worry, they're using that energy to actually move forward. Think about it. You can't control whether someone likes you, but you can control how you show up. You can't control every opportunity, but you can control how prepared you are. You can't control what already happened, but you can control what you do next. Smart people don't ignore reality. They just don't waste energy fighting it. Instead, they ask one powerful question. What can I actually do right now? And then they do it. No overthinking. No unnecessary stress. Just action. So next time you catch yourself worrying, pause and ask, is this something I can control? If the answer is no, let it go. If the answer is yes, focus on it fully. Because the moment you stop trying to control everything, you finally gain control over your life. And when you stop wasting energy on things you can't control, you start to notice something else. How much noise there is. Not just around you, but inside your conversations. Most people are uncomfortable with silence. The moment there's a pause, they rush to fill it. They talk too fast. They say things they didn't think through. They interrupt just to keep the conversation going, because to them, silence feels awkward. It feels like something is wrong. But smart people see silence differently. They use it. They don't rush to speak. They take a moment to think. And in that small pause, everything changes. Their words become more precise, more intentional, more powerful. Because they're not reacting. They're choosing. And here's what most people don't realize. Silence creates presence. When you pause before you answer, people lean in. When you listen without interrupting, people feel respected. When you don't rush to speak, your words carry more weight. This is why quiet people often appear more intelligent, not because they know more, but because they don't waste what they say. They observe first, they understand the room. Then they speak only when it matters. And that changes how people see them completely. So next time you're in a conversation, try something different. Don't jump in immediately. Don't fill every gap. Pause, even just for a few seconds. Let the silence sit there. Think about what you actually want to say, because in that moment, you're no longer reacting out of habit. You're responding with intention. And that's where real intelligence starts to show. And when you learn how to use silence, you unlock something even more powerful. The ability to pause. Because most people don't actually choose their reactions, they just follow them. Something happens, and instantly, they react. Someone says something rude, they snap back. Something goes wrong, they complain. Something doesn't go their way, they get frustrated or give up. It's automatic. No space, no awareness, just reaction. But smart people break that pattern. They pause, even if it's just for a second. And in that small gap, they take control. They ask themselves, is this worth reacting to? What's the best way to handle this? And that changes everything. Because the moment you pause, you stop being controlled by the situation and start controlling your response. Someone cuts them off in traffic, they don't let anger take over. Someone is rude, they don't immediately fight back. Not because they're weak, but because they're aware. They understand that not every situation deserves their energy. And more importantly, they know that every reaction has a consequence. So they choose carefully. While others are driven by emotion, they're guided by intention. And that's where real power comes from. So next time something triggers you, don't react immediately. Pause. Take a breath. Give yourself a moment to think. Because in that moment, you're no longer acting on impulse. You're making a decision. And that single habit can completely change the direction of your life. Now, if you connect everything we've talked about, a pattern starts to appear. Smart people aren't different because they know more. They're different because they think differently. They don't fight to be right. They try to understand. They don't get lost in one bad moment. They see the bigger picture. They don't waste energy on things they can't control. They focus on what they can change. They don't rush to speak. They use silence. And they don't react instantly. They pause and choose. That's it. No special talent, no perfect education, no secret advantage, just a different way of thinking. And here's the truth most people miss. These are not traits you're born with. They are habits you practice, which means you can build them, one small decision at a time. So you don't need to become a completely different person overnight. You just need to start thinking a little differently. Starting now. Because the moment you change how you think, you change how you live. So here's what I want you to do next. Don't try to change everything at once. That's how most people fail. Instead, pick just one of these habits. Maybe it's pausing before you react. Maybe it's asking questions instead of arguing. Choose one, focus on it for the next 7 days, and watch what happens. You'll start noticing things you didn't see before. You'll feel more in control, and people will start noticing the difference too. If this video helped you think differently, hit subscribe and stay with this journey, because this is just the beginning. And if there's one thing you should remember from all of this, it's this. You don't become smarter by learning more. You become smarter by thinking better. Most people spend years chasing knowledge, but never question how they think. And that's why they stay stuck. Because information doesn't change your life, your thinking does. The way you respond, the way you see problems, the way you choose your actions, that's what shapes everything. So don't underestimate small shifts. Asking one better question, pausing one extra second, letting go of one unnecessary worry. It may not feel like much, but over time, it changes everything. Because intelligence isn't something you're born with, it's something you build moment by moment. And now, you know how to start.